Hi, this is Franklin Ewelike. This is January. January is the fasting month. A lot of people fast and pray in the month of January to position themselves for what they believe God has for them for the rest of the year, to prepare spiritually for the rest of the year. Now, talking about fasting, someone sent a question to me, and I want to answer the question so that a lot of us can benefit from the answer. I also want to know what your opinion or your take is on the question. So I'll quickly read the question now and I'll answer the question. We just commenced a 21-day fast today. Somehow it skipped my mind and I made noodles to eat this morning. As soon as I began eating, I remember that I was supposed to be fasting. Is my fasting still valid? There are lots of other persons who may be asking the same questions, especially if you've not been a fasting person. There are tendencies that you may wake up not remembering that you're fasting, and then you go to the kitchen, you find something to eat, and just as soon as you take the first scoop, you realize or you just remember that you're supposed to be fasting. In a case like that, what do you do? I'll start by saying that in fasting, there are two major components of fasting. I call one abstinence and the second one commitment. So, on one hand, you abstain from certain things. Most times it is food. You abstain from food and some other things. And on the other hand, you commit yourself more intensely to some other things like the study of the Word of God, prayers, listening to message, worship, giving of alms, as the case may be. Now, if you're supposed to be fasting and for whatever reason you eat before the time you're supposed to break your fast, it means that as far as abstinence is concerned, you've broken that aspect, all right? But then, even though this calls for more intentionality on your own part to ensure that this doesn't happen again, to ensure that there is increased level of self-control and measures put in place to ensure that you don't eat before you break your fast, it is also important that we understand that when this happens, it does not mean you should forget about the other aspects of fasting. Like I said earlier, I said that fasting involves abstinence and commitment. So if you eat before the time you're supposed to break your fast, it means that yes, you failed in the aspect of abstinence. But then what of the aspect of commitment? Would you just abandon the study of the word, abandon the prayers, abandon the worship, abandon the time of meditation? Are you just going to abandon all that because you broke the part that demands abstinence? My strong recommendation is that you do not abandon the part of commitment because you broke the part of abstinence. In fact, the same way that praying and studying the word of God without abstaining from food may render your fasting incomplete. I don't want to use the word invalid, may render your fasting incomplete. I also believe that abstaining from food and not studying the word of God, praying and doing other things that will build your spirit man and enrich your fasting experience may also render your fasting incomplete. So it's a two-way thing. There is abstinence and there is commitment. So if you find out that you failed on the part of abstinence, please don't give up. Still continue on the path of commitment. In addition to that, intentionally devise a strategy that would help you not to repeat the same mistake of not abstaining from food, all right? And then be sensitive to the leading of the Spirit. Remember that the main purpose of fasting is to strengthen our intimacy with God. And in doing that, our relationship with God receives a boost. So I want to encourage you, if you in any way have eaten before the time you're supposed to break your fast, it doesn't mean that your fasting is totally invalid. Yes, as far as it has to do with abstinence, you may have failed, but there's a part of commitment that you should still commit to so that you don't lose everything you're supposed to get that day in your fasting experience. God bless you.